Oh, hey, we're back again to talk about another finale that recently happened. This is our finale podcast for the season finale of Big Brother 23. This season has come to an end, and I will say this is the longest I've ever waited to talk about a Big Brother US season. That was not intentional; it just turned out that way. But we do have a panel with us today, pretty similar to the last panel we just had for the Circle. So we're going to go ahead and introduce them.
Also in the Circle finale, I was wearing a different shirt, so now I'm wearing a One Tree Hill shirt.
All right.
Best show ever, which is the best show.
Yes, we're going to go ahead and introduce everyone. She is not under an alias anymore, so she wants to show her true self. Welcome back, the legend, Grace Ante.
Yeah. Hello. Yeah, I'm my true self now. Period.
Yes. All right. Also, they had some internet issues during the Circle, but hopefully their internet cooperates so they can stay for the entirety of this one. Here they are, Sean.
Hello.
Yes. Always great to have you. And with us once again. Last time he was going off about how you should follow him on Instagram. Now he's going to flex on his draft a bit. Here he is, Jacob.
The applications for our showmans have closed. Nobody responded. And I'm totally distraught right now.
Oh wow!
So I'm just gonna.
They were there for what, like 15 minutes?
I wasn't hurt by it, so I'm just gonna.
Oh, okay.
I've well composed myself. I've rebranded myself, as you see. I'm no longer Jen. I'm no longer the blue Jen.
Oh, okay.
I'm myself, my authentic self.
Yeah, that's true. Unfortunately, the orange Jen was sadly eliminated, so I don't think she's gonna be coming back. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead.
She was eliminated by expired Trulies.
Yep.
Yeah, those expired July Trulies, I think, really got to her. Shout out to Burger King because they're gonna keep telling me to shut them out. So shout out to Burger King. Have some Burger King with your expired Trulies. Yes.
Well, hello, Burger King. I'm gonna talk like a Republican white male.
What are you, Michelle from the Circle? That's what you sound like.
Not that.
Anyways, yeah, so before we do start this off here, I do want to say Big Brother has a bit of a trend for me. I've talked about this before. The seasons I really like have really good finales. The seasons I really don't like have really good finales for some reason. They're the finales that feel the most concise. They're the finales that are the most satisfying. I don't know why. It just happens every season that I don't like. The seasons that I do like have really fucking shitty finales that feel incredibly rushed and are just not a very satisfying end. So I was going into this expecting to be disappointed because, like I said, most Big Brother finales that are seasons that I like don't have very good finales. So yeah, that's kind of where I was at with this. Turns out I'm actually pretty much in the middle. I think when it comes to this finale, I didn't hate it. I didn't like it. I thought that it was a very okay finale overall. There are quite a few things I liked about it, but I do think overall this was a very, very predictable finale. I think you'd agree with me on that, Allie.
Yeah, it was very, like you said, yeah, it was very predictable, but it was a good finale. Yeah. I didn't hate it, but yeah, definitely just like very predictable, and we knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, very similar, I think, to the rest of these last few weeks. It's just a very predictable end, but we are going to go ahead and get started with everything that went down here. So we're going to start off with talking about part one, even though that happened in the Sunday episode. We do get to see part one play out, and it's probably one of the easiest part ones I think I've ever seen on Big Brother. They have to sit on this thing and rain falls and they have to not slip off. Like that's literally all this is. So it's like very easy to win. Basically, they have to ride this boat, and in what's probably one of the easiest competitions, Xavier once again does pull off the win here. His like fifth win in a row, I believe. So he does secure his spot for part three. I was not surprised about this at all. Xavier at this point is pretty much a full-on comp beast, and I was not surprised that he ended up winning part one here. So not really much to say about that overall, but it does get a little bit more exciting for part two.
All right, part 2 is basically a casino game of sorts. They have to pick 4 specific house guests that align with the answer, and once again, as expected, Azah does end up winning the comp, now facing against Xavier in part 3, which, I mean,
And this had
DF
me
comp
really excited.
DF comp beast.
Yeah, DF ends the season with, I don't think I've seen this like happen ever in Big Brother, especially in the final 3. He ends the season with 0 comp wins to his name. Like, he literally hasn't won a single one, but apparently he's this big threat. But anyway, yeah, this was a really good outcome because to me, this felt very much like a Steve and Vanessa situation where you have 2 people that are probably going to take each other out and not going to take each other to the end, and they're facing off against each other. Unfortunately, that's ruined by what ends up happening next with DF being his messy self that he usually is here. So basically, he's not feeling good about Azah and Xavier constantly cuddling all the time, and he feels that she owes him a seat next to her if she wins. You owe me a seat. You know, I dragged you here, so you need to be here. And he tells them that if he were to have been in that situation, that he would have picked Xavier. He was not going to take her to the end. He further goes on to just straight up antagonize her, and she tells him that she's given him no indication of changing her mind whatsoever, and he's going entirely based off of his own insecurities, which is very much true here. And it seems that this is causing her to actually waver because of the blatant lack of disrespect he seems to have for her gameplay. What's her take on this? I know this whole thing was like just probably not anything we expect to happen in Final 3, but really just kind of like shows the kind of flop that Derek F really is as a player. What did everyone think of this whole thing that went down with yeah, go ahead, Jacob.
But coming into this finale, I'm like, okay, Gina Marie has to be the worst player I think to have ever made finale night. Or so I thought, right? Like, Gina at least won something to my knowledge and had like some people.
She won quite a few things, actually. Yeah.
At least she had Aaron. At least she had Judd.
Yeah.
Great, and it was partially
anti-sentiment,
but like it was. We'll get to the vote count after, but could he even be like the worst to like make it like Pat like keep rewinding back worst ever big final 3, worst ever big final 4? Like Derek F could have just fallen asleep throughout this entire week, done absolutely jacked those people out, and that would have done him better than what he ends up proactively doing to hurt his position. So any suspense that we get from Xavier Azah is going to win now, this is the competition that determines it. I was literally just watching a video about Steve Moses, why he won Big Brother 17, why he's one of the most underrated winners of all time, and how this final 3 comp actually decides the winner because they're both going to take Liz. They just are under the impression that they're taking each other or the other person will take them, when in reality they are on to what they're doing. But all that's just eradicated because Derek F just will not stop, and it irks me because like after seeing, and we'll get to this more, I'll get to more in this more in depth with this, but we have the 2 people who probably contributed the least to the cookout success in Derek and Azah, and then the person who probably sacrificed or gave up the least in Xavier, like of the remnants of the cookout. And I would hope that to give us a glimmer of hope. Like, I love the cookouts narrative, but unfortunately I don't like how the boot order ended up playing out with the
yeah, I don't think anyone did.
And I'm hoping that like at least there's some like suspense, because they're handing the game over to Xavier by taking out the girls, and under the impression that the girls did nothing and the guys did everything, but they're handing it to X.
Yeah, which is bullshit.
No, all that was just shot.
Yeah, this was just such a, I mean, I don't think we should be surprised at this point that the thing that gets Derek F in trouble is his own mouth, because he just has this problem where I
think Derek F is very misogynistic.
He's very misogynistic, but he's also like completely delusional. Like, he likes to act like he did all this shit in the game and he just didn't. And I mean, I think anyone can watch this game and recognize that, like, yeah, he did not carry Azah in any way. Like, there were points to work with Azah anymore. So like the fact that, and all
just froze.
Well, I guess this isn't a conversation with Kely anymore because neither Kevin or Ali are here. But oh, great! So now you're the host of the show. So go tell us about how you felt about the final three.
Hello. I just want to say something kind of on Derek F of him being obnoxious. I'm now looking on Twitter and Whitney called him out for his misogyny and he's shading her. I just got home. Is this one of the new girls from Survivor 41 coming after her? No, but based off from what I've heard and seen, like I said, I haven't watched all the episodes because I don't watch the full episodes because the last couple of seasons have been so horrific to where I could not physically sit there and watch anything. And the way the producers edit the episodes is so fucking terrible. So terrible. They don't put the correct narrative on there. They do it how they want to and they make a mold of how they want it. And so I don't watch the episodes for it. But based on from what I've gathered, like Xavier, it was fairly obvious he was going to win if he was not taken out soon. And the only way he had a chance, and he was going to win any way you put it, because DF really fucked everything up by being an ass, and Azah did not want to take him anymore because he was being an ass.
Yeah, I did love Julie shading him, or it's like, remember, DF is the person that is the person, is the only one that doesn't, get a chance to participate in part 3, and now basically has his fate sealed by either Xavier or Azah. Someone should probably tell him that. I thought that was a really good moment. I'm like, okay, Julie's actually being a little shady here. I like that a lot.
No, Kevin, when you were gone and disconnected, I said he is now on Twitter shading Whitney.
Yeah, I did see that.
Because Whitney called him out and said, "Is this the new girl from Survivor 41? No, you were being an ass and people were not putting up with their bullshit."
Mm-hmm. Anyway, before we do continue here, I do want to welcome another guest.
Yeah, well, Derek F. I'm just going to say Derek F. deserves nothing.
Yeah, definitely. We are going to go ahead and welcome our next guest here. We do have Mike. Yes, Mike is here.
The Britini stand.
Oh, by the way, I am totally getting you that Britini cameo when I can.
Absolutely.
The greatest recapper has come to recap.
Not that. Okay, so basically she does take this time to tell Xavier that she's planning to take him if she wins, which he's obviously happy about, and she then tells Derek F that she's planning to take Xavier, and he says that he kept her here because he thought she'd pick him and feels he made the wrong choice and is outraged she isn't as set on taking him now. And here's the other thing that I think that DF really fumbled is that, like, if you carried Azah to the end, then that means that you have a stronger case to win over her. So, like, no, she's not going to take it to the end just based on that. Obviously, he didn't. But, like, when you frame it in that way, that's basically saying I'm a bigger threat than you, so you should take me to the end so I can beat you, which is, like, not the way to go about it at all. You need to lower your threat level, not up your threat level when you're at the end there. So, yeah, I mean, he definitely just, like, completely fucked up any chance of Azah taking him to the end, but it doesn't matter anyway because of the way things do end up playing out here, which now we're gonna go to the jury house, though, which Ali's gonna talk a little bit about.
I get to talk about the jury.
Ow!
That was very loud.
She got so excited.
I love the jury so much.
I feel like, as the resident stand of the mirror jury, this should be my time to shine. So,
all right, Kyland heads to the jury house, and then we then get a jury roundtable with Xavier. They feel like he did have a good relationship with everyone. Also, they feel was very good socially, and they appreciate how loyal she was, but feel she fumbled most of her game decisions. Yeah, they don't have much to say at all, which is pretty obvious.
Yeah.
Kyland proceeds to compare him and Candace's game, which he feels very insulted by. It doesn't feel like anyone knows what on who they're voting for.
I did
they're
watch
interchangeable, apparently.
I did watch that live, and my favorite
Why are we dancing about this?
Because we are very excited.
My favorite
For
part
what?
of that jury segment
About this finale. Duh.
My favorite part of that jury segment was the facial especially Alyssa's face. She's like, what the fuck, Kyland? No, and I will say, speaking of Britini, her reaction to Kyland coming in the jury was absolutely just amazing. So,
yeah, no, it was
like
so
the
good.
best reaction I've seen.
Yeah, I did see that on Twitter. Everyone was like memeing that up. That was a really good moment when she's just so excited to see Kyland in there. There's a couple things I do want to comment on regarding this roundtable, though. The big thing was that it felt like they were okay with Xavier basically doing nothing. In terms of like his game moves and just kind of like finding himself in a good position. But then when Azah doesn't do anything, there's a problem with that. I just didn't really understand that. So that was a little bit weird to me. But the one thing that really did piss me off is, again, Kyland, his ego, it just consistently gets in the way. Him comparing Hannah to Derek F., I just, come on. You have to be blind to think that Hannah was playing the kind of game that Derek F was, which was no game at all. There were so many moments where Hannah would, talk about some sort of plan that she wanted to do or some sort of strategic decision, and it did in fact end up panning out. And Hannah's a big reason as to why the cookout stayed together. Like there was a moment where it was like the Christian vote where Tiffany wanted to sort of flip on the Jokers, and Hannah was the one to step in and be like, yeah, we need to remember the mission here. So the fact that he just like completely discredits her game, it's just insulting. And I'm just don't understand why Kyland continues to put down all of the women in the game. I think he just has a really big ego, and I think we just continue to see that here.
For me, what probably irked me the most was like his warped perception of like the sentiment of like, which is faulty as is, like I want to take the best to the end, I want to beat the best. And if this is in tandem with like the cause of making sure that someone from the cookout won, they want a great winner or a great player to represent the season, then I would go all for it. But the thing that irked me was whom he perceived as the best. And the fact that he likened Derek F and put him on an equal playing field as Hannah, to me, not only shows some underlying biases, and it just wasn't a good look altogether. Like, I'm surprised, and during the jury roundtable, whenever they mentioned X, like they would cut straight away to Kyle, like his reactions, like the way he would like sort of readjust himself and be like a bit baffled, a bit perplexed by like, I feel like there was so much more that he probably said about X. Like I wouldn't even be surprised if they would have like, had it not been live, had cut out what he said about Colby, on his way out, and I sort of get that impression from him. Like, yeah, we'll go over the final three in depth and obviously the eventual winner, but I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, exactly. So we do get to part 3 here, and unfortunately, I mean, I will say the one thing I really did enjoy about part 3 is that this was a really, really close comp. For sure, which I really did appreciate. What I didn't appreciate is that it was structured like they've been doing it in fucking Celebrity Big Brother, where it's like, oh, we have these like weird like videos of like everyone, but it's not, questions and things like that. Instead, they did it where it's like these like promo videos that they ended up doing. I absolutely hated this. I thought it was so cringy the way this was put together.
I disagree.
Oh, you liked it?
I actually prefer this to the traditional Part 3 Final HOH competition. I feel like there's more of a chance for a house guest to do better in it in comparison, because otherwise it's about a statement that either one of the final two would most likely have no idea how to answer it. It feels less like a crapshoot than it originally was.
I mean, I
would
agree.
It's like about the statistics of the game. I like that.
Yeah, I would agree with that to an extent, but I've always liked the idea that it's like, how well do you know the jury, because it says a lot about your social game and things like that. So I've always it's one of those like if it ain't broke, don't fix it things for me. I didn't like it when they did it in Celebrity Big Brother, and I don't like it here either. I just thought they were super cringy the way they were put together. But like I said, it's a really close comp. It was like 7-6 or something crazy like that. And
It was a 1 point difference because Azah got the first question wrong.
Yeah. So Azah does, and the question she got wrong actually was, oddly enough, about Britini, which I was very shocked about. But Xavier does end up crushing this comp with a perfect score, does end up advancing to part 3. At this point, I mean, it was a no-brainer what was going to happen. I was like, well, any chance we had of a somewhat interesting outcome is pretty much squandered here because we knew exactly what was going to end up happening. And this is where I kind of started to check out of the finale because I was like, okay, I know what's happening. Like, there isn't really a point in, can we just like skip to the end? Because we know Xavier is like pretty much getting the win. So there just wasn't much more to be that excited about here. But I mean, he did win quite a few comms towards the end, and that definitely is impressive. But overall, like, I really wanted that like Azah and X show off. I wanted Azah to make that decision. I think that would have been way more exciting. But it is Xavier that ends up doing it, so it just goes in a very predictable direction from here, which Ali is going to speak about.
Let's be real. We just wanted F evicted.
I mean, yeah, that's true. That is true. We did want that.
I know I did. So
I mean, yeah, I think we all wanted Derek
like
out of there.
literally because of his actions, he went from 100% guaranteed at least 75K to a 50% chance.
Yeah, literally. And I actually thought like X wasn't gonna take him for a second because of the fact of like how he was speaking to Azah and things like that. I thought that was just.
I wish.
Yeah.
In
I do want to go.
Like in X's perspective, I think X made the right choice.
Yeah.
In the sense that I think he knew that Azah had a good chance of beating him, and well, I think X beats both, realistically. Yeah. But I think he made the right choice here in taking Derek F to go against saying that like we all wanted to see him evicted because we did.
I agree. I just think it would have been more interesting if it was X and Azah final fight, but that's not what ends up happening. Before we do get to that, though, I do want to introduce our other guests that came in. Cool. We do have Casey here. So,
hi.
What's up, Cyrus Squad?
Stop. Wait, wasn't I Cynthia?
We were Cyrus.
Wow.
I mean,
yeah.
Oh, wait, no, Jacob wasn't with us for that one.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, for one round you were.
That's true.
You got to stay the night once. But I was going to actually say to what you said about X taking Azah to the end. Azah had said that Tiffany, DX, Claire, Hannah, all 4 of them were going to vote for her to win had X done that. Which, like, I would too. I'm like, if X is taking you over Big D, like, that's not a good move for him. But Azah could have won that easily with Britini's vote. Or even Big D's.
Yeah, definitely. I think that I think it would have been a very close vote either way, but instead we do get the most predictable outcome where he does end up taking DF to final 2. So Azah is the last person evicted within the game, and we do get a little bit of an interview, which Ali is going to talk about.
It's all you.
No, it's you.
Great insight. Thank you.
Okay. In her interview, Azah brings up that despite everything, she would have taken Xavier to the end, as she honored his game more, but feels she still could have gotten some votes against him. She's proud of the game she played and doesn't regret too much. The jury is then welcome back to ask their questions for the final 2. They are shocked to see Azah be the final juror.
To her credit, she like Casey just alluded to, she did have a couple locked votes, so like it's not the worst move. I feel
like Azah could have won.
Oh yeah, she could have, but I didn't.
I was saying this a minute ago. I don't think you were here. I think Azah still comes second to X, but it's close. Like I want to say 5-4 Xavier.
Maybe.
I think Azah wins over X.
I think so.
And whether X takes her or she takes X, I think she wins.
I feel like it goes either way because Azah did have the better relationships, maybe. I didn't pay attention to feeds, I'll be honest.
But also, like, game-wise, she was kind of, like, even though she was emotional, she was also very blunt. Like, she was like, nominate me.
Yeah.
And none of them ever did.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. No, I do think that Azah had the more impressive game, not just due to the fact that she didn't hit the block until Final Four, but just the fact that, like, she was playing a very honest game in a game where a lot of people weren't super honest, and that is something that really did end up helping her. Those social bonds that really did kind of carry her until the end. She never really bullshit anyone until she was HOH. So
I feel like Azah had the more impressive game.
Yeah, I think so too. So
I think she had the underdog game, if anything. I honestly thought she was gone for.
Considering that her +1 or pawn or whatever you want to call it went out first, like they could have easily just picked off her and Big D because they knew that Britini would vote for them over any of the others. Yep. So I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like if I was Ozza, that's the angle that I would have came out and tried to do. I'd be like, I should have been the first one to go out of the plan, but instead I made sure Tiffany went. Like, depending on how she sold it, I think that she wins.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so we're going to talk about the jury questioning now, which I'll go ahead and say right now, the jury questioning is not very exciting, but we're going to talk about it anyway.
I mean, I didn't hate it.
I hated it.
I didn't feel either of their answers.
I didn't love it.
Question.
I didn't care for it. I usually never
love it, but I didn't hate it.
Yeah. My hair.
Can we talk about Big D's answers?
All right, Kyland. All right, Kyland asks Xavier the most important factors they should consider as they look to the crown. The winner of Big Brother. Xavier says they should pick someone who played a great game but never got too personal, which he didn't do. Britini asks DF 2 key decisions he made on his own, and he claims he formed the cookout and didn't own anything.
Which was so funny when he did that. He's like, "Oh yeah, the second thing I did was not owe anyone anything." Like, what does that even mean? Like,
that is such a bad answer.
It was.
Not anyone anything. To be honest, like you're all on that level for 750K. Yeah. That's not an answer.
Yeah, it's not something that you did. That's something that like everyone probably
everybody did that.
Someone out. Yeah, literally. I mean,
maybe besides Tiffany and Hannah.
Yeah, definitely.
Who literally sacrificed their own games to make sure that one of the
exactly.
Xavier sacrificed the absolute least. Like
literally, almost didn't even sacrifice Alyssa.
Exactly. I mean, I think that, and then him taking credit for forming the cookout has always been ridiculous to me. Like, even though you were the first one.
I feel like Derek F should have been first juror.
Literally.
He really should have, yeah.
Because
he would have been heading up if the cookout.
Yeah. No, if the cookout wasn't there, he would have been because Claire and DX were willing to flip onto him. So it could have happened if the cookout.
I think without the cookout, Derek F would have went out pre-jury.
Yeah, I agree.
Shut up.
I agree.
No, I don't.
I see DX taking a hit at him instead of Christian.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Because like if you listen to what Derek F said to Derek X, it was always like, I'm gonna be the last Derek in this house. Like it was just shit like that.
Yeah.
So I knew that DX probably should have taken out Derek F there or Xavier.
Yeah, you're right. He was very adamant about going for Derek F in the beginning, but that kind of that was kind of like, something that he backed off with a bit because of people like Tiffany, because of people like Hannah trying to like keep them all together. So yeah, you are correct.
They put that focus more on Christian, which was easy to do since Christian just nominated Hannah. Like,
right. Yeah.
All right. Xavier is asked by Alyssa his biggest decision, and he says it was evicting his teammates. DF is asked by Hannah what he did for his team, and he said while he did want to be on TV, he played for his grandmother, and while he joked around, he voted them out. Xavier is asked by DX moves he made that benefited him. SBS CF what he contributed to get the cookout to the final 6, and he basically says he got in people's ears to benefit himself. And then Azah asks DF why he should win the game, and he brings up how he was honest with everyone.
And like I said before, I just was not overly impressed by either of these answers. I feel like even X, his answers were very vanilla. It was very much like, oh, well, this happened, so it put me in this position. Like, it just wasn't a lot of things that he did. And that's why, in general, like, as much as I think Xavier played a good game, I just don't think it's as impressive of a game as if, say, Tiffany or Hannah won or someone like that. Just because overall, I felt that a lot of the game was I was put in a good position and people felt good with me. And so it just sort of worked out that way. But he didn't say that. I will say the one thing I respect about Xavier is that he didn't try, at least in these answers, to take credit for other people's moves. But overall, I was expecting a lot more from him in terms of the answers. And the final speech as well, I thought was pretty weak, which we'll get into. DF brings up how he was the developer of the cookout, but he can't say anything bad about X. So essentially just talking about why X should win the game. So Xavier brings up how much he wanted to stick close to the cookout and made sure most of his team got to jury. He won the most comps this season and then was nominated 5 times and only had 1 vote to evict cast against him, which that is impressive. The fact that he was nominated so times and only had 1 vote, I do think that is an impressive stat overall. But like I said, I wanted more. I wanted more from these answers. I wanted more from the final speeches. I just wasn't overly impressed by what we got here. And I think it's just a real testament to this, the lackluster end game. I think we had someone like Xavier who, yeah, he was in a good position the whole way through, but he didn't have the greatest read on things. And I think we kind of do see that here. I mean, even I saw an interview where he's shocked that like Tiffany did as much in the cookout as she really did. So like, yeah, I just, like I said, I wasn't overly impressed.
He was very not aware of his surroundings. He literally just getting carried through by Tiffany and Hannah. And at the end, somehow Xavier was able to play on Kai's egotisticalness and misogyny to get to the end by creating this illusion that he knew Kai talked about a lot, which was Derek and Cody, which is why we had the gentleman, which is eerily similar to the hitman.
Yep.
But the gentleman, that's perfect for Kai. Kai will love that name. That's totally the branding Kai is trying to go for here, even if he loses. So Xavier just played right into Kai's bullshit fantasy, and Kai got mad about it. What you gonna do?
Exactly. Yeah, no, for sure.
To what everybody else in the house is saying besides just one specific person? How about that?
Yeah.
But yeah, that final, I don't know what's that called? The questioning, the juror question?
Yeah.
Awful. Worst one I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Worse than
I agree.
Worse than Enzo. We all thought Enzo was bad last year. At least he knew that he didn't do anything.
Enzo's was at least exciting. DF was just kind of sitting there.
You started the cookout.
Enzo was low-key kind of just a joke contestant.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What Derek F should be saying is, I was an active part in starting out the cookout on day 1, and I worked with Tiffany to help strategize. I knew that Tiffany had this plan, so my strategy was to just act against. There's just different things you could say if you had a fucking brain.
Mm-hmm.
Only if.
Exactly. Very disappointing.
He's like the Tin Man from the Wizard of Oz, right?
Yeah, he really is.
Well, they don't have a heart. Which one doesn't have a brain? I feel like one of them doesn't have a brain.
I think he's a little bit of all of them because he didn't have much of a heart either. So he
didn't have anything. No.
Yeah. And then he was very cowardly. So I will agree with that too. So because he kept voting people.
Well, that's why he only went after women.
Isn't that part of the game?
E-voting, not voting. E-voting.
Watch season 24. Everyone's just gonna be e-voting. No more voting.
Oh my god!
This is all gonna be e-voting.
It's gonna be so good. It's gonna be so good.
They're gonna be like, guys, we can't do this live anymore. We'll have to do this beforehand.
Yeah.
You guys keep saying e-vote.
Yeah.
Get the show canceled.
Okay. Yeah, you can talk about the pre-jury now, Allie.
Oh boy.
Oh, not the pre-jury. The pre-jury is welcomed, and Julie asks them all about the cookout. Christian gives them the credit they deserve. Brent says
which we love.
Brent says how much he underestimated Tiffany, and she then brings up how successful the master plan was, even when she almost deviated from it. Julie then asks the ex if he knew he was getting played, and he brings up how he came in watching 2 seasons and felt he had it locked. We then take the time to see all of the house guests reveal the secrets about their other occupations. DF also takes the time to reveal his relation to Joe Frazier, and then Xavier also reveals him being a lawyer. And
which can I just say there? I was surprised by just how many people like hid their occupations. I forgot about that. I knew obviously Xavier being a lawyer and Derek F being the son of Joe Frazier, but there were a lot of things I forgot about. I forgot about Claire. I forgot about what SB did. So I mean, a lot of the cast this season like just completely hid their occupations, and it really did work out pretty well for them. So I was very shocked about that. But yeah, going back to the pre-jury, I really like what Christian ended up saying. I think he definitely gave the cookout the credit that they deserve. I wasn't overly impressed by the Brent answer. I felt like, yeah, he was saying that Tiffany did more than he thought, but he also said that, oh, I thought she was just like the working mom and things like that. Which
I thought she was braiding hair. I thought she was just braiding hair.
Yeah, I'm like,
he freaking said.
Literally a racial stereotype. Like, what's wrong with you? I mean, I wouldn't expect
just braiding hair all season, bruh.
Yeah, like I saw people on Twitter being like, "Oh, well, Brent gave her the credit she deserved." I'm like, "No, he didn't. He basically just said that she wasn't a stereotype."
It was backhanded.
Yeah, it was very. Yeah, there was a lot of micro.
Honestly, I find it really funny that Frenchie and Whitney had no question.
Travis didn't
either.
Can
go.
Travis too.
Yeah,
Travis. They're just also didn't get to say
it. Maybe the show just thinks they're so irrelevant. They're like, yeah, we don't need to ask them anything.
I mean, Whitney was ready to drag Derek F. DF.
Which she did. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But she didn't get the chance to talk during the final episode, the finale. They literally gave it to Brent instead of Whitney, which is disgusting. But like Brent still said something positive about Tiffany, I guess. Like you said, though, it's very backhanded, and I realize that now. I'm like, okay, he's just underestimating her, but like I thought she was just braiding hair all season.
Yeah, I was very like thrown off by that. I was like, no, that is not the compliment you think it is. I guess it's good for him, but like,
and then Brittany also revealed something, but I'll let Mike say that because he posted in the chat that he wants to.
Okay. Here we have Brittany reveals what we've known since day one because of the intro videos.
Mm-hmm.
She reveals to her house guests that at 22 months old, she was diagnosed with autism. And as somebody who's been a very vocal supporter of Brittany since the very beginning, I found it influential as somebody who's been a super fan since I was 18. And I've wanted to go on the show until I realized I physically could not do it for different reasons. I found Brittany to be very inspirational. And I enjoyed the representation that she brought as someone who is neurodiverse. And like she mentioned how she didn't disclose it because she didn't want to be labeled for it, which is something I fully understand because I never told anybody in my life that I had autism until I was 18 myself. Before I was 18. This was after I got into Big Brother, but like I think this is a hot take, and I don't mean to sound controversial or anything, but I feel like there isn't much representation for neurodiversity in Big Brother's history.
Mm-hmm.
Like the only other people I can really think of who are also on the autism spectrum that have played were Ian and Kaser, and I didn't know about Kaser until he had a conversation with Ian. But Ian, I watched very closely on 14, and I could kind of tell based on different mannerisms and how he talked that, yeah, I think Ian's autistic. I think Ian has what I have, and I think it's really cool that he's doing so well and eventually won the game in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, to like get back on track, Britini was the first one to be open about it her first time. And correct me if I'm wrong because I don't recall it. Did the conversation Ian have with Kaser get aired on 22?
I don't think so because I never knew that Kaser was on the spectrum. I remember Ian having a conversation about like he didn't even know that he was on the spectrum until after he came out of the show, and then he was seeing comments and he just tried to ignore it and ignore it. And then he finally got tested and realized, okay, he is autistic. But I mean, I don't think that it limits you or anything like that. I just think it's just, different characteristics or mannerisms.
Mm-hmm.
But I do agree. Like, I guess I didn't realize that Brittany was the only one, like, from the start of the show that was like, I'm super excited, and she's like going about it, and she's like, I didn't understand that she's the only one who's done it from like the very beginning of the show as far as representation.
Yeah.
So, wow.
Yeah, it was a really good moment. It was a little awkward when she's like standing up and Julie's like, "No, don't stand up. The lights are there." But it was a good moment.
Like
for,
she's already done. What's the point of saying that?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. Julie's on some with all her god shit. But anyway, yeah, just in general, I thought this was a really good. I feel like this was a really good moment for Britini. I wasn't the highest on her in terms of her gameplay, but I think in terms of personality and as a character, she definitely did deliver on that front. And I'm happy she got to live her dream. It was definitely a very inspiring moment in that way. Unfortunately, what happens next is not a very inspiring moment. It's a very frustrating moment, which Allie's going to speak on.
Julie talks to Kyland if he regrets what he said, and he claims it wasn't the correct statement and doesn't really seem upset about it at all. And Xavier is still unsure why he brought up his nephew, and it seems they have a lot to talk about after the season, which I wish he actually apologized.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not that hard.
What really, literally, this is the platform you have to finally just like come out and just like fucking own up to what you did and just like admit that like, yeah, what I said was out of line. I should not have brought his, nephew into the game. That's literally all you needed to do. And he just doubled down and he's like, oh, well, you didn't understand it, like.
I don't know why.
He even doubled down, not even just here, but also in an exit interview.
Yeah, he did.
And I have called this out multiple times on this podcast, but fuck Kyland.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Oh,
I mean, especially what really pisses me off is if your apology ever includes the phrase, "I'm sorry you feel that way," you're not fucking sorry. Like, that's simple. And the fact that like he went ahead and said that, I was just like, the audacity of this guy. I can't believe it. Like, he generally thinks he's in the right here. He generally thinks that like, oh, you're just misinterpreting what I'm saying. No, what you said was like really out of line. And you should, if you cared at all about Xavier as a person, you would apologize to him for it. And honestly, I respect Xavier for being as diplomatic and understanding as he is about it. Cause like, I would not be nearly as understanding in that situation. So I do respect him for that.
Yeah, I mean, we're calling it doubling down, but he's not going to understand the other side of this, which is the realness. Because this is how his mind works. It just like colludes some sort of story on what happened, and then he just sticks to it. That's what he did with the gentleman. Ugh. Now that's what he's doing here with us too. But what he said was very wrong. He said, "Well, I didn't mean to, offend anybody's family or blah blah blah. I'm like, then why are you bringing their names into this, Kyland? Like, you were not happy you got evicted. This had nothing to do, like, this had everything to do with Kyland and nothing to do with Xavier. It's just,
No, yeah.
he's despicable. He's disgusting. I don't care if Tiffany and Hannah like forgive him now. Like, that's fine and all, but what he said was actually disgusting. And as a fan, I don't want to watch that on the show again. So I'm going to continue to
like literally now all the cookout are just forgetting all the stuff happened, and now they're just best friends.
I think
like it's also like, why is he plugging himself in the interview with Julie right after? Like,
right? Yeah,
out of the house.
Weird.
Like, after you get into a face-to-face conversation, you're like, you know what? Bring you back for All Stars. I'm ready. No, I don't want that.
Like,
CBS.
Yeah.
No.
He's gonna complain his way to All Stars. Watch.
And also,
he complained Facebook back to life. I mean,
I also have a question. I have a question. Are Tiffany and Kyland actually a thing?
I mean, it seems like they are.
I mean, I think they're just like friends with benefits right now. They're out of the house. There's no cameras.
They're just chilling.
Staying in a huge ass mansion.
They're like
no longer there. It's just Dana and Tylen.
They're so flirty.
Oh yeah, they are living their best life. I will say this about the cookout. I think they're all just very forgiving people. Like, I think that's kind of what we've seen. And I will say that has been refreshing postseason. There hasn't been a ton of drama besides the Derek F. and Whitney of it all. I think the cookout in general, like, they feel this natural bond with each other. So they're just kind of willing to let
It's always been about unity for them. So, like, that makes
exactly
sense on how they're acting afterwards, regardless of what was said.
Yeah.
I didn't realize I was muted. Sorry,
and like,
I'm very
now, like at first Xavier's like, you need to apologize to me, and now he's like acting like Kyland's his best friend again.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they talked it out.
I'm sure they talked it out.
Okay, you know something? Kyland's like, bring me back for All Stars. You know, I wouldn't put it past BB to bring his ass back, considering how trashy the last All Stars was and how fucking problematic and racist he was.
Yeah.
Yes, fuck up most of that cast. I don't like them.
Oh yeah.
But
I don't like them. Same.
No, they're a bunch of cowards. A lot of them. Literally, they bombed Bailey, Kaser, Janelle. That's all that matters. And Keisha. That's all that matters.
Not even Nicole A. Not even Nicole A.
No, not anymore. Not anymore.
She shot herself in the foot.
Yeah, she is not.
Why would she ever come after Janelle? Come on, she knows the BB fandom.
Yeah.
Janelle is queen. I actually started watching BB7 again last night to get a refresher on Janelle.
Oh, really? That's cool. So we then get to the winner here, and it's probably the most predictable outcome that we could have gotten. Xavier wins unanimously, which, like, no shit. He was going to win unanimously. Which, I mean, yeah.
We were all looking for that one vote from Kyland just to spice it up, but he didn't do it.
I know.
Yeah, but for Derek F, really?
I mean, he could have. He could have just for pettiness.
That's gross, though. It's Derek F.
Well, maybe if he didn't think that X deserves a unanimous vote.
Yeah, I guess they probably...
I think X deserved the unanimous vote. If anything...
over Derek F for sure.
Over Derek F, yeah.
We were all, like, at Final 6, we all knew this is going to happen. We were all just like...
I had a feeling before.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
well,
I mean,
pre-season, when Janelle was like, Xavier is going to win, I was like, I hope the fuck not. Like...
Yeah, the way that this ended up playing out, I mean, it was pretty obvious at a certain point that Xavier was going to end up winning. But like I said before, I do think he is overall a pretty solid winner. I don't think he's a great winner. I think there are things that he did to put himself in that position. I think there isn't much that he did to put himself in that position. I think he just kind of found himself that way because people naturally gravitated towards him.
I feel like out of like Big Brother Canada and Big Brother US, I feel like Tyshawn played the perfect game, and then Xavier's was not perfect at all, but he still played good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think his game was definitely much more interesting, especially in terms of like things he did strategically. A lot of what Xavier did, it was stuff that like he did to, like I said, put him, like it was stuff that happened to him to put himself in a position of power where people constantly like told him, oh, you're playing the best game and things like that. He had allies that stuck close to him. There wasn't a lot that he ended up doing like strategically. So he's just not the most exciting winner. But again, I think we definitely could have had a lot worse. Like, for sure, we definitely could have had a lot worse. So
I'm actually going to bring in a counter argument there with Tyshawn versus Xavier.
mm-hmm.
I want to give Xavier this point that Xavier had it in the bag right along, whereas Tyshawn really didn't.
Yeah,
Tyshawn had a lot of very tainted relationships sent to jury, like Beth, for example. Did you like as iconic as it was to yell "enjoy jury"? Do you really want to send someone to the jury house like that, all pissed off at you and stuff?
I mean, he got her back on his side. So I mean, yeah.
I didn't go to jury, so.
Sometimes, sometimes you get voted out. Sometimes you win unanimously. Sometimes you get voted out unanimously.
For
it
me,
just kind of works out that way.
Yeah, it just depends on how you explain it at the end.
Exactly.
Beth will probably ask, "Is you yelling that? Is that really good jury management?"
It's
hey, emotions were high. We both played a great game. We clashed, but I knew that I had to send you to jury because you were such a competitor. That's all Ty has to say, and then he gets her vote. Yeah, he gets her vote over Bray.
She said right off the bat that because of that comment, he did not have her jury vote.
Yeah,
and I think he had the the jury against him going into it, but I will say Tyshawn owned his game very well,
as he should,
and I think Tyshawn answered everything flawlessly.
Yeah, I think that's my other thing. I think he just had the better answers. I think he played the more impressive game. And it's not that Xavier didn't play a good game. I just think it was a very boring game. It wasn't the most exciting game to watch. And sometimes, the boring game is the best game. That's
he
just
didn't get a lot of blood on his hands until the Kyland thing. That was the only time. Which, I mean, ugh.
Yeah, he got Brent out, but literally anybody could have gotten Brent out. So
everybody was going for Brent.
Everyone
was going for Brent.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
He took the easy route. He could have taken out a Christian there. Didn't do that. He left that for the other pawns.
Yeah, so props to him. I think the one upside that he really does have to his game is that he was the person in the jury phase that had most of his team still intact. I thought that was still really impressive.
You're in the jury phase.
Not right now. I'm not in any games. But I thought overall. I thought overall that was definitely some upside to his game. And of course, he is the first Black winner of regular Big Brother, which is amazing. The fact that they were able to finally accomplish that is really great to see. And I am glad to see that it is someone like Xavier and not someone like DF.
That's what I was about to say as well. I do think, especially between the final two, is Xavier one of the higher up winners. If you ask me, I think so, but that's recency bias in my personal opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of the season, in terms of everything that's played out, and especially between the final two that we got, I think Xavier is a very good representative for Big Brother 23 as a whole.
Oh yeah.
Because let's be real, as much as we don't like the men, do we really want this season to be represented over the years throughout the show's history? Do we want that to be represented by Derek F? I don't think so.
No.
Absolutely not. So
definitely not. Yeah.
I do think Xavier is very good representation for Big Brother 23.
Oh yeah.
A little bit better. Or Hannah.
Yeah.
I mean,
or Azah.
Yeah. But yeah, so we
definitely agree with that. Xavier is a really good representation. He hasn't done anything malicious like his fellow finalist has, and like the fourth placer did. So,
I will say I honestly was rooting for Xavier, especially after the Kyland thing. I wanted Xavier to pull out this win and get to the end and win the game, to really put it up Kyland's ass.
Yeah.
Of a fuck you to Kyland. And I'm glad we got that.
Speaking of that, now that I think about it, I'm trying to think. I actually, speaking of clowns, I did think for a while, and I remember I was talking to Seb about it, and I was watching it. Shout out to Seb. But I literally did, based on that jury segment and everything, I did think Kyland was going to vote for DF.
Yeah, just
and was shocked he didn't.
I could see that.
I thought he was going to, just out of bitterness. But like I said, I think the jury ultimately was like, come on, you're really going to give DF a vote here. So I think they were able to turn things around. But the best part of the episode for me happens right at the end here, where we do get to America's favorite player. Basically, Julie announces the top 2 vote getters were Derek X and Tiffany, which the look on Derek F's face when he realized that it wasn't him, even though the entire season people were like telling him that he was going to get it, I thought was a really great moment. But we do, in fact, get Tiffany winning America's favorite house guest here, which was the best possible outcome, I think. If it couldn't have been a win for Tiffany, I'm very happy that she does get America's favorite house guest. Tiffany absolutely was, she carried this entire season. I mean, she's the one who is the big reason as to why the cookout really got there. She had that whole plan. She had so many people like wrapped around her finger. She really was in such a strong position to win this game. And she's probably one of the best players we've seen in a long time. And I think that her strategy of the master plan, it's going to be one that people think about for years to come on Big Brother. I think it's going to be one that people are constantly referencing. And I think for that alone, like, she absolutely deserved this win. So like I said, if it couldn't have been her winning the game, I'm glad she won America's favorite house guest, because it's very deserving overall.
Especially when they mentioned it was already double. Like, that her name has been in my like Twitter name forever.
Yeah.
So when they like doubled the prize money, I was like, that's so good, because she deserves it. No one's ever gonna be able to duplicate that duo strategy, and if they do, it's going to be very hard. That's never going to happen again in Big Brother. So it's just awesome to see, like, she just created that strategy. I would love to see her in another season do another strategy.
Yes,
she's just cracked at the game. Like, that's what it is.
Yeah, she definitely has.
Well, obviously, All Stars 3 or like a coach's season.
Oh yeah,
bring her back. I think that they should do like half newbies, half returnees. Like, I think that'll be fun. Or heroes and villains in the Big Brother house. Like,
I think for a while they need to do more newbie seasons for a while, just because of the fact that this has been the first. Like, there's been problematic moments, but this is the first season where the season has not been full on toxic, and they don't have a chance to invite stupid ass people back.
I feel like if they do 2 more newbie seasons, and then after that, like, we're gonna be itching for our favorites to come back. Like,
especially if it's as good as this. I think
I would love another coach's season. I think we could be on the road for another coach's season with the way that Tiffany and Hannah and DX just played that shit. What if they, like, Claire, like, what if they were all coaches? I know that probably wouldn't happen, but
that'd be so good.
I wish Claire did more this game. She really tried. She just didn't do much. She did like worse than Alyssa, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, she did. But with that pretty much closes out the season of Big Brother 23. Really good season overall. I definitely will say that this was a really, really good season, especially in terms of the cast. They were a very, very likable bunch for the most part. You had a few duds in there, Brent, Frenchie, people like that. But Derek F.
Kyland.
Yeah, the majority of this cast was pretty likable. The majority of this cast is definitely a group that I would be down to see play again at some points. And the fact that I think we can just sit here and overall say we enjoyed this season, I think that alone is something we should be happy about, because it's been a very long time since we've been able to say I enjoyed that Big Brother season thoroughly. Not just the season, not just the jury, all the way through.
One of the best like modern seasons for sure.
Absolutely.
I would argue it's the best modern season.
It's definitely one of, I think. I think
the best season.
It had a slow end game, I think, but other than that, I think overall it was definitely pretty strong overall. So yeah, I definitely really enjoyed this season.
The reason why people were not fucking problematic, except for Kyland and DF and Brent. Only, like, literally the whole cast wasn't problematic.
That is.
I mean, you had some performative people, but that's about it.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, that
But if we
definitely
can
did.
get more Tiffany's in the house, like there's
Ugh.
not gonna be another Tiffany,
Yes.
but like they can find the people with those types of minds. I know it's not that fucking hard.
Oh yeah, there's definitely people like that. So I think it's definitely possible
Me,
to
Big
make that
Brother,
happen.
me.
yeah,
I'm
put
ready.
Casey in there. All right. Before we do close things out, though, I'm going to give all of you a chance to plug your shit. So go right ahead, Mike. We're going to start with you, even though everyone knows your stuff.
I'm just gonna use this opportunity. I've been on here. I think I've recapped a Big Brother with these guys a couple of times. So either way, I'm no stranger. I'm on the Ascendance podcast.
Yes.
I host Dancing with the Stars / The Masked Singer on a spinoff podcast. But I wanna take this moment again to honestly say shout out to Britini for representing the autism community as well as she did, and as of yesterday, I got a follow on Twitter. So
Good. Yes.
Yes.
Brittany?
I'm
yeah,
happy for you.
She likes my stuff sometimes.
Yes.
she's great.
All right. Grace, go ahead.
Hello. Yes, I came back for this. Sorry, I dipped out for a moment.
No, you're all
I
good.
just needed to step back. For a moment. But yeah, this season I really hope that CBS can continue and Big Brother can continue making some good casting choices. We had a lot of great people this season, and I hope they can continue it for the next seasons to come to make sure we get out of the dark ages that we were in with these other seasons. I really hope that, and I'm so glad we finally were able to get the Black people this season were able to show who they truly are and what they're truly capable of, and they had the opportunity to come together and do that. It was just a really beautiful sight to see, because anytime in the past they've been judged automatically off the bat and they need to go home because they're not the pretty people. And I'm glad they finally got to showcase themselves this season.
Yes, for sure.
Exactly.
For sure. Yes, good stuff.
There's my Twitter, wherever it's at, right here. That's my Twitter. Love Tiffany, love Hannah. I think we need to cast more of the Vendetta type people. They were awesome.
Absolutely.
That's really my only shout out. It's like, I love you, Tiffany. Also apply for Kevin's org.
Yes.
I'll plug your org.
Yes, apply for Spotlight, which
my
the
org.
four of us are actually running.
Oh,
Yes.
all of you. All four of you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm plugging all of their orgs.
Yes, we're all on prod for it.
Like Glee.
So, yes.
That's it for you.
Yes.
Oh, here we
definitely.
go.
Apply for Spotlight. We do have apps out now, so we would love to see any of you in there. So yeah. Also, other things we need to plug: Survivor podcast. We're doing that, so very excited to talk about this upcoming season, or not upcoming season. It's season that's going on right now. And then also Ascendance Live. Don't forget about that. We are still covering that as well. And yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it for this finale recap of Big Brother 23. Really strong season overall. Like I said, I hope moving forward we're able to end the season just as happy as we did with this one. But that's really it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you to everyone who has joined us throughout the season. We really do appreciate that a lot. We'll see you guys in our next video, and we will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.